Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by me, Erica Firpo, a travel journalist based in Rome. Each episode of Ciao Bella, I sit down with Italy's creators, contemporary artists and artisans, designers, culinary experts, heritage brands, and innovative aesthetes, and more who are defining and redefining 21st century Italy. Pull up a chair and join in. Welcome back to Ciao Bella. I am in the Maremma in Tuscany, this beautiful, beautiful coastal countryside, but I'm actually in a castle called Castello di Montepò. And I'm here with Tancredi Biondi Santi. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and you?
I'm wonderful. I am so happy to be sitting here with you. And actually, as we're sitting here, we have a beautiful bottle of wine in front of us. You guys may recognize his last name. He is the seven generations of the Biondi Santi family of winemakers. What we've known is from Brunello, best known there, but really this seventh generation is changing the whole landscape.
Absolutely. So our family with Clemente Santi is recognized in the enology world for having created and developed the history of a wine famous everywhere, I would say, called the Brunello di Montalcino. And it was named by Ferruccio Biondi Santi, Clemente's grandson. And
I would say Brunello is synonymous with Biondi, or Biondi Santi is synonymous with Brunello at this point.
Yeah, we can say this. And basically our history has always been a pioneeristic view of the world and a pioneeristic way of acting. And with my father, after 6 generations of Brunello di Montalcino, this pioneeristic feeling have came again. And so my father started a beautiful new project at the end of the 80s, so over 30 years ago. And he really wanted to discover and develop new projects in the family. So he started here. He found the Castello di Montepò.
We're about an hour west of Montalcino?
We're southwest Montalcino, yes, like an hour by car.
So his project wasn't just a new project, it was a whole new world in essence.
Absolutely. Different DOCG here in Tuscany, so we're speaking about the DOCG of the Morellino di Scansano, but still we are in the beautiful land of Maremma. Maremma, it's a spectacular land, very, nearby the seaside, but even, for example, here Castello di Montepò, we are over 450 meters above the sea level. So it's hills very close to the seaside, and it is a landscape that it's fantastic for the vitiviniculture world. And so my father wanted to start this project here to discover and create new wines and to study all his new world that he had in mind.
When I saw your father this morning, or this afternoon, I'm losing track of time, he was very clear that he brought something here, a very special something.
So basically what his study started from a milestone that we have in our family, which is a grape variety called Sangiovese Grosso BBS 11. This clone of Sangiovese Grosso BBS 11, that means Brunello Biondi Santi plant number 11. It is a grape variety that is uniquely given to the family. Discovered from the family, after the phylloxera. And basically this clone, it's unique for the production of the wine to the Biondi Santi family. So it is a really special grape variety, clone of grape variety. And the BBS 11 makes the unicity of our wines and of our world. So here in Montepò, my father came with this spectacular jewel, the BBS 11 clone. And when he arrived here in Montepò, he discovered the incredible potential of this land to grow the BBS 11. So he planted it almost everywhere, in over 85% of the vineyards that he planted here in the winery. And even nowadays, after 30 years, we're having and reaching always more and more beautiful results. So we're incredibly satisfied by this project and incredibly satisfied by the new life that this family is living here.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of set the backdrop for everyone, because I briefly mentioned that we're in a castle. So your father went searching for a beautiful location, and he went searching in particular, from what I understand, for like a microcosm.
Yeah.
And he found a castle on a hill. This is a castle that's I guess 1,000 years old by this point, a little bit more than 1,000 years old. And it was the main defense for Siena to Talamone, from what?
Exactly, to the port of Talamone.
So it was a huge, I mean, that basically means it was the point of defense from here to the west, and or to the coastline. And this is like one of those definitely beautiful castles that, has 2 towers. It's got the wall. I was looking at, when we came into the courtyard, I looked up and I could just imagine the archers and the soldiers on top. I mean, it's pretty cool, you have to admit. And your father was saying that I think it was initially 600 ettari, of which now it's 400 ettari.
400 initially, 400 hectares,
okay.
Which is about like 1,200 acres, if I'm not wrong. And nowadays it's over 600. And
of that, so I'm not like the best with numbers, but you also said about 50 are vigneti.
Are vineyards, yes.
Are vineyards. And I thought what was really cool was when we came up, I saw the sign that said, you can't pick the mushrooms. And that's because you have like 300 acres for Reserva.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's over 300 acres and 300 hectares.
Oh, that's right. I always say that incorrect. Thank you.
Yeah. And so basically here we live in contact with nature every day. And I mean, we take care of the vineyards, of course, which it's our world, but even of the whole nature that it's surrounding all the vineyards and all the property. So it's a daily work, even that one, and so I mean, all these signs are everywhere in the winery.
So it's like, I mean, it's funny. We were talking before with Nando about how the Castello was, autonomous. It was its own world. And that's kind of what you're saying now too, because I know that we saw the fox, sorry, not the wolf. Yeah. We saw the fox, but we were talking about cinghiale, wild boar, and pheasants. And I mean, we could go on with the list of animals that are here, and this, you can live here, you can eat everything that is grown here, you can eat everything that is hunted here. But so it is its microcosm as a world, but let's talk about it as a wine microcosm, because it's very particular.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when my father came here at the end of the 80s, he discovered, of course, he fell in love with the beauty of the place itself. But what he fell in love for real over here was the incredible potential of the land here in Montepò. So to study all this land, he called the University of Pisa and Firenze to study all the different microzonas of the winery, and he reached incredible results. Like the whole winery is composed, almost the whole winery land of the winery is composed by galestro type of soil, which is a soil which is very poor in nutrients but incredibly rich in minerality. And galestro, it's one of the best places here in Tuscany where to plant our Sangiovese grape. So basically this incredible land was surrounded even by an even better microclimate, because we're only 10 kilometers far from the seaside, and we still have the Amiata mountain that drives all the the weather forecast over here. So it's really, really important, the microclimate over here, and followed by the incredible potential of the land. My father really thought that he reached the best place to plant our BBS 11 clone and to start this new world of wines that it is lasting so far since over 30 years.
So tell me a little bit about the wine that's right in front of me.
This is our new project, my father and my project. It is called Jet. It's first of all, it's a rosé wine, and it is a rosé obtained by the vinification in white of 100% Sangiovese Grosso BBS 11. So this is the vinification in white of our BBS 11. It comes from a single microzona hill here called Pantanella, the vineyard that
the one you showed me.
Exactly, the vineyard that I showed you before. And it took 2 years to set up this wine properly. My father had two main requests. That it was it had to be 100% Sangiovese Grosso BBS 11, and it had to be completely matured grape for the vinification of this wine. And my request was the color. So these requests were hard to make all together, but finally after 2 years of try, we made it, and we think we reached an incredible level here. And so we wanted to call and to celebrate this union together with my father, working together under the project of a new wine. And so we called the wine Jet, J and T, which means Jacopo and Tancredi, so the first letters of our first names.
And I love how on the etiquetta the T and the J are the same.
Oh yeah, exactly. We matched them together, so to fit them together, and we thought, I mean, the label is very different from the classical labels of Montepò. That it's over 30 years that we are producing, but we really wanted to create something new, something more.
So this is the newest wine that you have?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
How come you wanted a rosé?
We wanted to start with the rosé because the rosé represents the first wine that we have included in our new project here in Montepò that started 2 years ago, and it's called the Montepò 2030. Montepò 2030 is a very big project that is looking to the best valorization of the winery in the next 12 years when we started. So right now in the next 10 years, and it is a project that we really wanted to develop at its best, because we think that if we will be able to reach all our goals on the project Montepò 2030 by 2030, we really think that Montepò will be at the peak of its beauty and of its possibilities, of course. We will always looking forward, even in the future, to be better and better on the production of the wines, on the taking care of the whole winery, on restructuring, for example, all our buildings here in the winery. But of course, Montepò 2030, it's 2030. It's a project that is giving us a good direction for the next future, even of the future labels of Montepò. There will be, of course, in the future the untouchables, which are, for example, the Sassoloro, which are the Schidione, which are these two wines are really the heart and the meaning why this place is existing nowadays, and the meaning why we are here. But of course, we tried to elevate as much as we could all the study that my father did 30 years ago with the universities of Pisa and Firenze. And so starting from there, we have beautiful new projects that will include even some vinifications in Cru. But this is the maximum that I can explain so far.
I did like how you called it the BBL.
Yeah.
I did like that. I'm not going to say what that means. It's just a secret. So we talked. This is the latest wine, and you very casually mentioned 2 other wines. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the wine history?
Basically, the wine history, everything started under a wine over here. So the thought of my father was the vinification of the BBS 11 in a more modern and more approachable style. And so he searched the land, he found Montepò, he planted all the vineyards of the winery, and he started the vinification of the Sassoloro. Sassoloro is 100% Sangiovese Grosso BBS 11, and it is a wine that is obtained by a fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, temperature controlled at 24 degrees, quite a longer maceration, respect to the traditional vinification of the Sangiovese, let's say. And so we are able to extract and obtain more primary perfumes on the wine, and so more freshness and more drinkability, I would say, in the wine. And the other wine, the second wine that I was mentioning, was the Schidione. Schidione is I would say the wine of my father. So it's the wine that more reflects the desire of my father for producing very important red wines, beautiful even for the longevity that they have. And so Schidione is a blend in between 40% Sangiovese Grosso, 40% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Merlot. The blend never changes. It's produced not every year, of course, because the vintage has to be perfect for the 3 grape varieties. And
what does that mean, it has to be perfect?
If in a year, for example, there is too much heat for our Merlot, and the Merlot doesn't respect the quality that we want for our Schidione, we just don't simply change the blend in the wine and we keep producing the Schidione. But since we don't have the Merlot, we can't produce the Schidione. And because of this, all the vinification and even the affinamento, so in barrique and in barrels, it's done separately for the 3 grape varieties. Then there is a blend of the 3 grape varieties. After 2 years in wood, there is a blend in stainless steel vat for 6 months or over 6 months. And then there is the bottling bottling time, which is driven completely by the palate of my father. So when my father thinks that the wine or the vintage is ready to be released, we release it. Otherwise, we keep it in the cellar and we release it when he thinks that it's time to drink.
Does he ever let you decide?
Yeah. We take discussions together, and what I really love here in Montepò is this beautiful sensation of working together and not working one against each other. And it is something that my father was able to teach me incredible things, and I will always be grateful to him. And really, even the friendship that we have, the feelings that we have, father to son, are very strong, and we feel very comfortable on working together in every new project and in the project of our Castello di Montepò.
I think it's pretty cool. You live in this castle, and your father lives here. Your parents live here as well, correct?
Absolutely.
And it must have been. I'm curious as to what it was like during the long months of lockdown in a castle on a hill in the Maremma with your dad.
Well, the lockdown, to be honest, we have been very, very, very lucky. Of course, it's only us here, so we are a family, and we were able to live in a beautiful and big space in the middle of the countryside and in the middle of nothing, basically, and nowhere, because we don't have neighbors here too close. So to be very honest, I feel very blessed of having passed my lockdown over here, because we were able to get out from the house, go around the vineyards. We were able to walk and breathe, and it is a thing that many people, especially who lived in the city, couldn't do that and suffered that very badly. And so I feel really, really, really lucky that we were here during the lockdown. For example, my sister, my mother, and my brother, they were in Siena, in our apartment in the city, yes, and they have lived a completely different experience. So it has been a very tough period for everyone. We had to go on with the work. We couldn't stop because nature doesn't stop because there is a lockdown. And so we had to follow everything. It has been a very, very tough moment and period. But we were hoping that everything will be much better in the future.
Schidione. You were mentioning that it's very particular. It will depend on how perfect the wine is, how perfect the season is. You only make 2,200 bottles? Yeah, 2,200 bottles.
Always
Magnum?
Not really. I mean, we produce 0.75 and Magnums.
Okay.
And Schidione represents for us right now, with the developing of the project Montepò 2030, it represents basically the niche of the production of the best of Montepò that can be blended together and vinificate as a single label called Schidione.
So if you were to describe Schidione, would you say that it's like the best of the Maremma?
I hope so.
In a bottle?
I'm hoping so, I think so, and I would love so, yes.
Tell me a little bit about the Maremma, because I think it's an area of Tuscany. I think people are starting to hear about it, and it's great that Nando is in the room too, because I definitely, I love this area. It's beautiful. We were talking about how Talamone was in James Bond, but I don't know if a lot of people are quite as aware of how amazing this area is, and I'd love for you to share some.
Well, it has remained one of the only undiscovered places in Tuscany, still not really touched by tourism and still not really touched by the hand of the humans. So I would describe it like that. Maremma has it's living a very important moment right now. Many people are discovering this incredible land, and many people are discovering the potential of this incredible land. It is a place that still lives in an incredible environment, driven still by the forests, by the countryside in general, by the distance by the sea. It's really important because we are basically on the seaside, but on top of the hills. So it is a land that has nothing basically nothing less to related to the other areas in Tuscany, or even I would say in Italy. And it is an area that it's still undiscovered, but it will, I think, in the near future, it will live an incredible moment of life.
One of the things that I love about the Maremma, aside from the fact that I love that it's coast. I love the mountains, or these hills on the coast. I love how, because it's kind of crazy to have 10 miles away or 10 kilometers away, you're right at the beach, but right now we're on top of a hill. I also love that there are the buteri, the cowboys.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of the coolest things in the Maremma.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty cool. And and I'm curious, for you, where do you, you're on a hill in a castle. When you want to go to the beach, where do you like to go?
In the Argentario, of course. We go to Talamone, we go to Porto Santo Stefano, Porto Ercole, Giannella, which is beautiful.
I've never been to Giannella.
Giannella is fantastic. And we most of the time we go even to the Giglio Island. Giglio Island is spectacular. It is really the little island of the Argentario, and it is a really, really, really incredible place. Still not crazy with tourism, but it's growing and developing even over there. But Giglio, it's a little piece of my heart. So yeah, it's really beautiful.
Nice. Now I know here you're working with your dad. You're working with Nando, and you're working with your best friend Agostino.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I know Nando. He reminded me that I met him 6 years ago, which now I completely remember, and I love his smile. And he's Nando. Tell me a little bit about Nando does.
Nando, it's a crucial person for the future development of Montepò. It is a man that it's able to have a vision of the whole project in the communication, and I think it's one of the hardest and most difficult thing to see, because having a vision over there means knowing what to say at the right time and what to communicate in the right time. And communication nowadays, it's everything that is needed to explain what you're doing and to drive what you're doing on the eyes of the other people. And so it's Nando is developing an incredible work for us.
And I know he's also doing a lot within the community here as well. It's like I think we were talking a little bit about Morellino. And is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Morellino at all, or?
Yeah. Parliamo del Morellino?
Sì.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I liked what you were saying earlier in the car. No, you know what? Sorry, we're not going to talk about Morellino.
Okay.
Sorry. We're going to talk about one last thing. I edit all of this, so don't worry. Okay. One of the things that you've said a few times while we're driving around, and sometimes you said it and you wanted to make sure that I heard you, and I was like, I heard you. And sometimes you were just kind of saying it, was il vino si fa in vigna.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And I mean, that to me is like, I feel like that's like a fundamental in Italian winemaking. And why don't you tell everybody what that means?
Il vino si fa in vigna means wine is made in the vineyards, and this is a concept that has always driven the philosophy of winemaking of our family. What the past generation have learned and taught to the next generation, and it's what I will do with my sons in the future. And it is a concept that respects a lot the tradition of the old wine world, and for us it's a crucial topic. The wine has to reflect the place of the world where it comes from and its unicity. Otherwise, it means that it's not a unique place or that it's made in the cellar. If you make a wine in the cellar, then that wine can be repeated everywhere in the world. It just needs to have a cellar. If you make a wine from the characteristic of the soil where you're making it, or the microclimate, or of the beautiful and millions of values that the land or the microclimate is able to develop to you and to your wine, and you're able to manipulate, not manipulate, it's the wrong term, to transform the grape in wine without polluting it, then that wine will be the reflection of your terroir, of your winery, and of your style.
Vino si fa in vigna.
Vino si fa in vigna.
I loved when you were telling me that, and I loved, you were just talking about expression, and I was asking about your best friend, Agostino, you work with, and you were saying, yeah, he's an art historian, and I was like, oh, I was once one, and then I kind of laughed because I was like, art, wine, and you were saying, no, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, what you in particular said, you said it's vita, the word for vine, comes from the word of life, and that wine is an expression of art, an expression of life.
Absolutely. Winemaking has always been considered a kind of an art, a way of transform something in a liquid that it's recognized from the history of our past, the nectar of the day. I don't know even the word in English. But wine is it's a form of art. As art, it is a painting or a sculpture or poetry or dialectic or a language. So wine represents something that it's cultural, that it's alive, and represents a transformation that still nowadays is in constant development and changement. And this is because nature is giving us this fruit, and we are able to transform it in something unique, which is the wine. So from the grape, the wine, and this transformation, it's kind of a form of art. And the same is paintings, for example. Nature, in the past, the colors were made by nature, by simple objects, and people were able to transform these colors in a beautiful painting. Or, sculpture. Marble, it's a spectacular stone, and there are people that were blessed by God, probably, that were able to transform this simple stone, in a piece of art. And that is the transformation of something in something else, which, of course, driven by the hand of the humans, it's able to create something incredible. And for me, that's wine as well.
I'm really looking forward to tasting your art form stuff.
And we'll do it. Don't worry.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and thank you so much for showing me all of Castello di Montepò. I really do think that if I lived here, I would get a bow and arrow and I would run up on the top and I'd all morning long. Like I do that with my kids. I'd be like, get down there, boom, or they'd probably do it to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Erika. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. If you'd like to know more about today's guest, please visit ciaobella.co and click on the podcast link, or go directly to ciaobella.co/podcast. Want more Italy? You can find all my episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher. When you have time, subscribe to iTunes and rate the podcast. What are you waiting for? And if you want to be part of the podcast, email me or DM me your Italy questions. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao, Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Disc to Disc Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella, who continue to make me sound and feel great.